All right, man. Peace and power and elevation be to all of you beautiful people out there. This your girl Tiffany coming through here live in effect. So tonight's it's late night where I'm at, but on this topic, I want to talk about something that is very new to me. A new subject field of study that I'm very interested in. Something that I just want to be able to put on my bucket list. Okay. And that's astrobiology. So before I even go there was a question I asked in the beginning. I said, when we pass away, I wonder, do we circulate to the cosmos and become part of the astrophysics and cosmology of the universe? I know we are part of the ecosystem. I honestly believe that part of us will go into the cosmos. So, because I asked that question, right? When we die, where do we go as human? Do we go back to the universe? And do we enter into the cosmos, like with the stars and all of those different things? Do we go into another planet? And I seen this field of study called astrobiology, which sparks my interest. All right. I never heard of it before. So I have another subject that I could put into my archives. Um, my subjects are anthropology, quantum physics, neuroscience, of course, sociology, and now astrobiology and epigenetics. But I always have a question as far as what was life like in the universe? Was there an origin of life in the universe? I mean, scientists try to calculate the years of the universe being approximately 13.5 billion years old. 13.5 billion years old, approximately. Okay. And we know approximately, according to science, that the earth is like 3.5 billion years old. So, but what else can we learn about the universe? And I think that with this field of study, we can be able to find out some type of information. So what I want to do is I want to get into the definition of astrobiology and then just look at some articles that I've been researching or looking online. And also I have some book recommendation. So let's go ahead and let's go to it. Let's get to it, man. Shall we? Okay. All right. So this right here is a picture. Okay. Now, what is astrobiology? So, astrobiology was formerly known as astrobiology. It is an interdisciplinary scientific field that studies the origins, early evolution, distribution, and future of life in the universe. Astrobiology is the multidisciplinary field that investigates the deterministic conditions and the contingent events with which life arises, distributes, and evolves in the universe. It considers the question of whether extraterrestrial life exists or if it does, and if it does, how human can detect it. So also astrobiology made use of molecular biology, biophysics, biochemistry, chemistry, astronomy, physical cosmology, planetology, geology, paleo paleontology, excuse me. It was it ichinology. What is this? Ichinology. Okay, so ichinology deals with traces of fossil. Cool. and it investigates the possibility of life on the other worlds and help recognize biospheres that might be different from that on Earth. The origin and early evolution of life is an inseparable part of the discipline of astrobiology. Astrobiology concerns itself with interpretation of existing scientific data. And although speculation is entertained to give context, astrobiology concerns itself primarily with hypotheses that fits firmly into existing theories. Well, that's interesting. So let's go further down. So this interdisciplinary field encompasses research on the origin of planetary systems, origins of organic compounds in space, rock water carbon interaction, uh, abiogenesis on Earth, planetary uh, habitability, research on biosignatures for life detection, and studies on the potential for life to adapt to challenges on Earth and in outer space. All right, so I'm just going to stop right there, and I'm just going to skip down. Okay, so we're going to look at the overview. The term was first proposed by the Russian astronomer Gorvel Tikhov in 1953. Astrobiology is etymologically derived from the Greek astron, which constellation star, and bio, which means life, and logica means study. The synonyms of astrobiology are diverse. However, the synonyms were structured in relation to the most important sciences implied in its development, astronomy and biology. A close synonym is astrobiology, from the Greek external bios, life, study. The term astrobiology was coined by molecular biologist and Nobel Prize winner Joshua Lindenberg. Astrobiology is considered to have a narrow scope limited to search of life external to Earth, whereas subject areas of astrobiology is wider and investigates the link between life and the universe, which includes the search for extraterrestrial life, but also includes the study of life on Earth, its origin, evolution, and limits. Okay, and then there was another term that was used in the past. So another term used in the past is xenobiology, which is biology of the foreigners, a word used in 1954 by science fiction writer Robert Heinlein in his work The Star Beast. The term xenobiology is now used in a more specialized sense to mean biology based on foreign chemistry, whether of extraterrestrial life or terrestrial, possibly synthetic origin, since alternate chemistry analogs to some life process have been created in the laboratory. Xenobiology is now considered as an extinct subject. Then it goes on to say, why it is emerging and developing field, the question of whether life exists elsewhere in the universe is a verifiable hypothesis and thus a valid line of scientific inquiry. Though once considered outside the mainstream of scientific inquiry, astrobiology has become a formalized field of study. Planetary scientist David Grinspoon calls astrobiology a field of natural philosophy, grounding speculation on the unknown in known scientific theory. NASA's interest in astrobiology first began with the development of the U.S. space program. In 1959, NASA funded its first astrobiology project, and in 1960, NASA founded an astrobiology program, which is now one of four main elements of NASA's current astrobiology program. So in 1971, NASA funded the search for extraterrestrial intelligence to search radio frequencies of the electromagnetic spectrum for interstellar communication transmitted by extraterrestrial life outside the solar system. NASA Viking missions to Mars, launched in 1976, included three biology experiments designed to look for metabolism of present life on Mars. Well, and that's very, the terminology is very interesting to me. And it's very surprising to me that the question comes down to extraterrestrial. So, when people will say things like, "Oh, there's extraterrestrial beings around here," most of us would think that those individuals are crazy. Something is wrong with them because they have no way of proving that. But scientists are actually studying this, but again, it's hypothesized, but you can't actually prove that there is other life or other or extraterrestrial being out there unless you actually go and do the field of study. I think that is like the article said, that it brings about interpretation to scientific data, which that's a cool thing. But how do we know for sure that we can find extraterrestrial beings around the universe, or or in other planets? Then the question becomes, then, well, if there is extraterrestrial beings, do we have any type of relation to those beings? Do we have any type of relationship to those particular organisms that is found in other planets? Are we connected with those other planets? These are the questions that will be needed. These are the questions that would have to be asked to various individuals, particularly those who are astrobiologists. Well, if there is a possibility that there's other life and other planets, right? If there's other life on planets, is there some form of connection between human and those life? But until that can be proven to be so, we can't say that, well, we have a connection with other beings. Okay. But I do honestly believe, and this is my hypothesis, I honestly believe that I honestly believe that we do go back to the cosmos. I think that we are one with the cosmos and one with the universe, which is one of the reasons why I choose to study pantheism, because pantheism is dealing with God and the universe as being one. So I think that when we do that, yes, we go back to the earth and we become part of the ecosystem for sure. But I also believe that we are, that part of us also transcend to the stars and to the other planets somewhere. I think that part of us transcend to like the actual astrophysics and whatnot, because if we break everything down, from the fact that we are made of cells, bacteria, and blood and all of that, we'll go and see that we also have those ancestors as far as planetary is concerned, as far as atomic particles, like the proton, neutron, electron elements, and of course the thermal energy that operates. I think it will all go back to the fact that we have one relationship with the cosmos and the holographic universe. That's just my theory on it. I'm not a scientist, and I don't have a very good scientific knowledge. I just have my own. I have my own philosophy. Okay, I have my own thoughts about things. So I just use science as a way to help me to better understand life from not just the concrete point of view, but also from the abstract point of view. So I don't have a very strong scientific knowledge. However, let me just go ahead and continue. So I was looking at some article, right? And it talks about planetary intelligence. And I never heard of something like this before. What is planetary intelligence? It says, can a planet have a mind of its own? Now, let me go ahead and read it. It said, Rochester astrophysicist Adam Frank discussed why cognitive activity operating on planetary scale is necessary to tackle global issues such as climate change. The collective activity of life, all of microbes, plants, and animals have changed planet Earth. Take, for example, plants invent a way of undergoing photosynthesis to enhance their survival to enhance their own survival. But in so doing, release oxygen that change the entire function of our planet. This is just one example of individual life forms performing their own tasks, but collectively having impact on a planetary scale. Now, if the collective activity of life, known as the biosphere, can change the world, could the collective activity of cognition and action based on this cognition also change a planet? Once the biosphere evolved, Earth took on a life of its own. If a planet with life has a life of its own, can it also have a mind of its own? These are the questions posed by Adam Frank, the Helen F. and Fred H. Goin Professor of Physics and Astronomy at the University of Rochester, and his colleague David Grinspoon at the Planetary Science Institute, and Sarah Walker at Arizona State University in a paper published in the International Journal of Astrobiology. Their self-described thought experiment combines current scientific understanding about the Earth with broader questions about how life alters a planet. In the paper, the researchers discuss what they call planetary intelligence, the idea of cognitive activity operating on a planetary scale, to raise new ideas about the ways in which humans might tackle global issues such as climate change. As Frank says, if we ever hope to survive as a species, we must use our intelligence for the greater good of the planet. Okay, so I will come back to that. All right, so I'm just going to skip all of this, but let's go down to where it says the complex system of planetary intelligence. Although we don't yet know specifically how planetary intelligence might manifest itself, the researchers know that a mature technospheres involves integrating technological system with Earth through a network of feedback loops that make up a complex system. Now, put simply, a complex system is anything built from smaller parts that interact in such a fashion that the overall behavior of the system is entirely dependent on the interaction. That is, the sum is more than the whole of its parts. Example of complex system includes forests, the internet, financial markets, and the human brain. By its very nature, a complex system has entirely new properties that emerge when individual pieces are interacting. It is difficult to discern the personality of a human being, for instance, solely by examining the neurons in her brain. That means it is difficult to predict exactly what properties might emerge when individuals form a planetary intelligence. Or, excuse me, when let me try that again. That means that it is difficult to predict exactly what properties might emerge when individuals form a planetary intelligence. However, a complex system like planetary intelligence will, according to the researchers, have two defining characteristics. It will have emergent behavior and will need to be self-maintaining. The biosphere figured out how to host life by itself billions of years ago by creating systems for moving around nitrogen and transporting carbon, France says. Now we have to figure out how to have the same kind of self-maintaining characteristic with the technospheres. All right, so let me start right there. Let me get my thoughts on it. Okay, so does planetary have its own intelligence? Well, let's put it this way. If there is life on the earth, right? If the earth, let's go back to, according to the information, earth is, so according to science, right? According to science, all right, so the earth is 4.6 billion years old. Think about it. If the earth is 4.6 billion years old, right? And it has gone through its process, that means there is some type of form of intelligence, because if that means that the earth has its life. its own life. If it's been around 4.6 billion years approximately, then why would it not have its own intelligence? I mean, it had to go through the developmental process, right? So that means that it has its own way of operating. It has its own way of operating. It has its own way of dealing with. It has its own way of being able to manifest and be able to control the control its own system. However, at the same time, we wouldn't know that the Earth is very intelligent because we take advantage of the Earth. Let me put it to you this way: it's like we pretty much fuck the Earth until the Earth can't be fucked no more, right? And what I mean by that, it's like, when you constantly, it's like we're raping the Earth in a sense as humans. We're raping the Earth. I know rape is not a very good word to use, but that's just the way to describe it, because we're not focused on the intelligence of the Earth. We're too busy trying to get what we can off the Earth, which is cool, but at the same time, the human activity that we do here brings about destruction into the ecosystem, right? We bring about the pollution and all these different things, right? So we don't have the time to actually focus on this intelligence. If we did, I think that we would go about in a different approach, in a different manner. But we're too busy trying to get what we can off this Earth and this, that, and other. And at the same time, we are destroying the ecosystem of the Earth too. And I hope what I'm saying making sense. All right. But yes, I think you guys should go ahead and check out this article. I won't go any further. It's just something that I think that is very interesting right here. Planetary intelligence, can a planet have a mind of its own? Right. So let's just go ahead and let's look at some reading materials. So these are a couple of reading materials that I found. Okay. All right. This one here. This one here is called Astrobiological Neural System: Rise and Fall of Intelligent Life Forms in the Universe by Jerry L. Cranford. Jerry L. Cranford, by Astrobiological Neural Systems: Rise and Fall of Intelligent Life Forms in the Universe. Okay. Now let's see. Let me look into the introduction. It says scientists believe intelligent life may be more common in the universe than previously considered possible. Okay. So it said the construction of a giant telescope at the beginning of the 20th century, combined with the advance of digital computers and rocket science in the last part of the 20th century, totally changed mankind's thought about how common life, especially intelligent life, may be in the universe. Our knowledge of the physical size of our universe suddenly exploded in 1925 when astronomer Edwin Hubble looked through what was then the largest and most powerful telescope in the world and discovered the existence of galaxies located outside our own Milky Way galaxy. Up to that point in time, most astronomers believe our Milky Way galaxy was itself the whole universe, with nothing existing beyond the most distant stars we could see with our best telescopes. All right. And then it goes on to say astronomers today believe that our Milky Way galaxy is but one of a huge number of other galaxies that fill a universe that is incredibly large. While few scientists have been so bold as to suggest that the universe may be infinite, a few have actually proposed the idea that other independent universes may exist. Many astronomers, however, now estimate that there are possibly as many as 200 billion or more other galaxies out there, some of which are smaller and others which are larger than the Milky Way galaxy. And believe it or not, our own average size Milky Way galaxy is so large that it might take 100,000 years traveling at speed of 186,000 miles to travel from one side of the galaxy to the other side. And our astronomers now believe that many of those other galaxies in the universe may contain as many as 200 billion or more stars. And once again, some of their stars are smaller than our sun, while others are 10, hundreds, or even thousands of, 10, was it? Even, okay, while others are 10, hundreds, or even thousands of times larger. And when our astronomers use the world's most powerful space telescope, the Hubble telescope, named after the astronomer Edwin Hubble, to look out into the distant regions of space, they are amazed that the light from the most distant galaxy they can see. Hmm. All right. So far, yeah, this book is very it's very recommending. So when you go into studying about the astrobiology and understand the life and origin of the universe, I would recommend looking at this book. I would have to study this book myself and to like learn and get more into detail and more in depth about it. So that way, yeah. So that way it will. Yeah, that way it can be more. I'm sorry about that. I was trying to get something off here. But yeah, I recommend the book called Astrobiological Neural System. I will post it up on my YouTube page. Post up the cover of the book, and I'll post up on my Facebook page for those who may be interested. Now, let's go ahead and move right along. This one is called "The Astrobiology Understanding Life in the Universe" by Charles X. Cockell. Understanding the life in the universe. So it's another book that I will recommend. Again, I don't mind sharing the information with people, but yeah. So I think those two books will help give us a better understanding about origin of life, and also I think that we also need to look at Neil deGrasse Tyson's book. Let me see. As a matter of fact, okay, so Neil deGrasse Tyson has a book for all my science head out there, my science geek. He has a book called Origins 4 Billion Years of Cosmic Evolution, the host of Cosmo, a Space Time Odyssey. Okay. So I recommend his book as well. One of my favorite channels that I also think people should check out and subscribe here is called Closer to Truth. Closer to Truth deals with all type of philosophical questions. It deals with things from quantum physics to astrophysics to cosmology, physics in itself, and it looks like it gets into a little bit of neuroscience. Also, it gets into the astrobiology. So, so these things. I mean, this program deals with the study about consciousness and cosmology and philosophy and all the other scientific fields that are relatable. So yeah, so I would recommend people to check out a YouTube channel called Closer to Truth. And that's all that I have for tonight. So with that being said, take it easy, peace and power elevation be to all of you. This your girl Tiffany, and I'm logging off by saying deuces. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good one. All right.